Hello and welcome back to the Domestic Cricketers. It's an important video because it's an important time of the season. It's the business end. We have the Sheffield Shield and the Marsh One Day Cup finals coming up in just 2 weeks' time. And we have all four teams in the top four in both competitions playing for it. That is Queensland, New South Wales, Western Australia, Tasmania. And look, Tasmania and the Sheffield Shield probably, you'd say it would take a miracle for them to make it. They would need to score about 400 runs in their first 100 overs and then bowl the team out in less than 100 both times. So really, in the Sheffield Shield, it's a 3-team race, but in the One Day Cup, it's a true 4-team race, and I'll tell you why. Tomorrow, which is Wednesday, the 31st of March, we have Queensland taking on New South Wales at North Sydney Oval. Steve Smith, Pat Cummins, Mitch Starc and Josh Hazlewood all playing. It's going to be a tough job for the Queenslanders to beat this New South Wales side. But don't forget, the Queenslanders have Khawaja, Burns, Renshaw, Neser, and they also have, of course, Marnus Labuschagne, who's in the form of his life. And so that's going to be a crucial clash for both sides. The problem is, for New South Wales, they win this game, they host the final at Bankstown Oval. If Queensland win, they will host the final at Allan Border Field. However, whoever loses will almost certainly miss out in the final unless there's a really close result in the Western Australia-Tasmania game, which is on the 8th of April at the WACA. So, New South Wales, who have all these players, they will miss Smith, Hazlewood, Starc and Cummins, all of them I believe, to the IPL. So this is their last game for this domestic summer. So New South Wales, if they do win, they will be playing with a lacklustre side, but they will still have obviously a very competitive side with the likes of Henriquez, Dan Hughes, Nathan Lyon. So, they're still certainly a strong side if they make the final and lose all those stars. However, Queensland, they will be wanting to win because they don't want to risk, although they are 1 point ahead of Queensland, a bonus point victory for Tasmania or just a victory for Western Australia and a big boost in their net run rate will push them ahead of Queensland, either of those sides. So Queensland can't afford to lose this one. If they do, however, there's always a possibility that they'll still make the final with a pretty close result over in the West on the 8th of April. So that's the Marsh One Day Cup. That's how it will work. New South Wales as well risk, if they do manage to lose this game at North Sydney Oval, they risk missing out altogether if Western Australia have a victory or Tasmania have a bonus point victory. And then we move on to the Sheffield Shield, and it's an important clash as well for New South Wales and Queensland. They're playing against each other down in Wollongong, North Dalton Park, with the winner of that hosting the Sheffield Shield final. So much like the One Day Cup competition, that is really a huge clash neither side can afford to lose. Now that game, which starts on Saturday, Easter Saturday, April the 3rd, New South Wales will be missing their star players because they're actually flying out on Thursday, the 1st of April. So it's going to be a very strong Queensland side playing I'd say, potentially equally as strong New South Wales side, but without all those players, they're not as good as they certainly could be. So the winner of that will host the Shield final. And now if Western Australia defeat Tasmania, which also starts on Saturday in their Shield match at the WACA, Western Australia will join the winner of Queensland and New South Wales. I'd assume the Sheffield Shield final will be hosted at North Dalton Park if New South Wales win, potentially Bankstown Oval, as it will be hosting the One Day Cup final if the New South Wales Blues win tomorrow. Queensland, I'm almost certain that the Shield final would be at Allan Border Field. And there is a chance of a draw between New South Wales and Queensland, which could potentially see Western Australia host the final, which would obviously be at the WACA. A massive if Tasmania can manage to pick up 3 or 4 bonus points and a big victory against Western Australia, they could potentially slide up into second place as well. So, it's all to play for. Obviously, Victoria and South Australia. South Australia are winless in both competitions. Neither of those sides can make the final for either competition. But we truly have a 4-team race in the One Day Cup and almost a 4-team race in the Sheffield Shield. So, the domestic cricketers will be all over this. We'll be going through all the potential scenarios as further results happen. And obviously, we'll have lots of posts and content in the lead up to the Sheffield Shield final as well as the Marsh One Day Cup final. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for all your support. We love hearing your supportive messages, and keep an eye out on all our social media channels. It's a big 3 or 4 weeks coming up for the last remaining matches of the domestic cricket season.